away and nothing was happening. And then I realised I hadn't pressed the button properly, so I've had to press the button again. Anyway, so I am now live. I'm pretty sure that's now working, which is great. So I apologise for that. I've been talking away, but obviously nothing was happening because I forgot to press the button properly. Anyway, I am now live, so welcome everybody. And do let me know if you're watching, put something in the chat just to say hello. And let me know that you're there, or if you're watching it on the recording thing on Facebook, then hello and welcome. Nice to see you. So I hope to see some of you in person on Friday. I have my Craftalong on Friday at 11 o'clock. This week, normally it's Thursday, but this week it has to be Friday because of my cricket duties. And these lives are going to be, there's one this week, there will be one next week. But the next one after that will be the end of the month. So all of the details are in my emails. So do please. Now, what does that say? Oh, there we go. From Dublin today. Margaret, you get around. You're one side of the country or the other. So it's Dublin today. Welcome, welcome. And nice to see you. Babysitting Max. Oh, how lovely. So how old's Max? Do you know that my great nephew is called Max? He's now 9 months old, amazingly, and crawling. So he's gets around a bit now. He's a bit harder to look after now. So I wonder, how old is your Max? Do let me know. So yes, as I said, there will be a live next Tuesday at 2 o'clock, and then the next one's the end of the month, and I can't quite remember the dates. But it's all due to my cricket. So do sign up for my emails and make sure you get those, because that will let you know exactly when these things are. So the main thing to tell you about is my Craftalong live on Friday. If you've had my email, you'll have all the measurements of the stuff you need for that card. It's a rather nice, I'm calling it a triple fun fold. It's a fun fold card. So I do hope you can join me then. That's Friday. Normally it's Thursday, but this week it's Friday at 11 o'clock. For that. So he's 2. Oh, he's older than my Max then, but yeah, you've got your hands full with a 2-year-old running around. Goodness me. Good job, your hip's so much better. Right, let me just put my desk in view so you can see what's going on today. Just move those out of the way. So today, what I wanted to, why is that not straight? That's a bit better, good. Today I wanted to talk about using DSP. We all use DSP in cards. Here's just an example card I've made with DSP. Really simple. I just cut a panel layer of DSP and stuck it on the front of a card, wrapped some ribbon around it, and put a sentiment on. Could have added some more gems if I wanted, or put a bit more on, but that is the simplest type of card. But sometimes we need simple cards with DSP, and I wanted to show you a couple more ways of making simple cards. Oh, Glenda from Perth. Now, are we talking Perth, Scotland, or Perth, Australia? That's what I want to know. I don't, but is it, what time is it in Perth, Australia? Is it 9 hours difference, something like that? Anyway, do let me know, Glenda. How lovely to see you, though. Thank you for joining me. So I'm using this DSP. It doesn't matter what DSP you use. These cards that I'm going to show you can be made with any DSP, but I rather like this turtley cute DSP. I've used quite a lot of it, as you can see, but it's got these lovely turtles that you can cut out. Some of them cut out with the dies from the Turtley Cute bundle, Turtley Awesome bundle, or whatever it's called, and others you have to cut out with your own scissors, but they've got lovely patterns on the back as well. So it's just a lovely set of DSP, and I rather like it. Anyway, let me get on with showing you what I wanted to today, because I've got 2 different sorts of really simple DSP cards for you. So I'm going to start with this Turtley Awesome set. I've got a couple of envelopes and I've got all my various bits. So I've done some of the cutting, but I haven't done the other one yet. So sometimes we want cards that are the normal portrait size. Sometimes we want them as landscape. So I'm going to show you one of each. So for the portrait one, I've just got some Granny Apple green cardstock here, and I've got that's garden green cardstock for the other one. So let me show you for this one first, because I've actually already cut the pieces of DSP. So I'd cut a pattern from the DSP, and you can see it is all one sheet. If I put it together here, you'll see it is the same pattern, but I've just cut it up. Woohoo! So this piece here that we're going to put on the front of this card here. So this is just an ordinary base card. It's the lengthwise base card, which is, if I can see my measurements, which I've got at the back and stuck something in front so I can't see them. Just a minute. Oh dear, really, I really ought to get more organised. So the lengthwise one, it is 10.5 wide by the full length of A4, which is 29.6. If you're working with US cardstock, then it is 11 inches by 4.25. So Perth, Australia, 9 p.m. I was going to say 9 p.m. because that's 7 hours difference, isn't it? Yes, because I'm coming to Perth in November to see my in-laws. So, it's my sister and brother-in-law, my husband's brother and his wife. We're going to come stay with them for about 5 days on our way to New Zealand. I'm so excited. That's end of November anyway. I'll talk more about that nearer the time. So he's called after your dad. Oh, Margaret. So this is Max is called after your dad. Okay, that's lovely. Nice. Anyway, let's get on with this card. So for this card, what I've done is we're just going to show ways of cutting DSP to add a bit of interest to cards without it taking too long or being too much of a problem. So this is going to be my first one. So I've got this landscape card. I've just given you the measurements, scoring it at 14.8, or if it's US cardstock at 5.5, and just fold it in half. That forms the base. So the piece of DSP you want for these odd little patterns I'm going to make today, this is 10 centimeters tall by 12 centimeters across. And I've forgotten the inches, but I think I have put them in the blog. So something around there. It's something like, let me just get my ruler and I can actually tell you. I think it's about 4.5 by 3 3/4 for inches. So that's that there. And then you're going to cut it. Each strip is 3 centimeters wide. So for the 12 centimeters, there's 4 strips of 3 centimeters wide. Goodness knows what the inches are. What did I say? It was about 4 and a bit inches. So it's around about an inch and a little tiny bit, inch and a 16th, I think it is, wide. And you could just make it 4 inches and then just cut every inch. It's a lot easier. So it doesn't really matter. It can be slightly smaller. So I would cut it 4 inches wide by 3 3/4 and just cut it every inch. And then, very simply, we're just going to stick them on the card. And I'm not going to try and center them or anything like that. I'm just going to start at one side here. And I'm going to start with this first strip. And you see I've kept them in order so that the pattern follows through. And all I'm going to do is stick the first strip so that it's got the same gap all the way round, which is just that sort of gap. It's not about right. Yeah. So, whoops. Glue everywhere. So that's my first strip, and then I'm just going to move the other strips on and leaving the same gap between each of the strips. So it's a really simple way. It just adds a little bit more interest than a flat plain piece of DSP. Well, not plain, are they, DSP pieces, but just an ordinary one sheet of DSP, as in the card I showed you at the start of this. It just gives you a little bit more interest. So we're just going to have the next one here. So you can see I'm making sure the pattern follows through, but just putting a little gap between each of them. And yes, it doesn't fill this. It's not supposed to. That's the sort of interest bit of it, is to not make it just fill it. I want to make it just look a little bit different. So I'm just going to put them there. So you'll see I've got a bigger gap at this end, which is fine. That's fine, because I'm going to stamp a sentiment and it's going to come over here and I've got room to put a few little gems on. And I'm using these shades of green hexagon because I haven't used them much yet and I wanted to use them. They say shades of green. I know it doesn't actually match this particularly well, but they will look fine when they are on the card, as you will see in a minute. Just get them out ready. So I've got various sentiments. I'm using 2 sets, which are currently, I believe, in the Last Chance Saloon. So if they're in the Last Chance products, this is So Sincere. I just think these are beautiful, beautiful sentiments and so useful for so many sorts of cards. And then the link together, this goes with some beautiful dies that do all sorts of, there we go. You see I've used them a bit, so they're not sticking on terribly well. There we go. With this lovely trellis frame. And it comes with the masks, which are 5 different trellises and make lovely cards. I have shown you those before. So I've got some of these out. Which one should we use for this? Let's use, I don't know, what's this one? So Thankful for You, or nah, who knows? Probably can't fit that on there anyway, so I could use one of my bigger strips or just get another strip. I'll just use this one. So I've got the matching stamp pad. I love the coordination that goes with Stampin' Up's products. So it means that with the garden green cardstock, I will use my garden green stamp pad. So I'm going to use So Thankful For You. So I'm just going to pop that on here, somewhere in the middle of this scrap. There we go. I do have a cloth here to clean the stamp. I don't like to leave inks on my stamps. I do like to clean them as soon as I've made them, and my actual stamping chamois is too dry at the moment, so I can't use it. So that is my sentiment here, and I have lost my scissors. There we go. So all I'm going to do is just, I think probably I'm just going to flag this end. So I'm just going to cut in the middle. I'm just not measuring it this time. I'm just actually going for it, cutting it somewhere in the middle, and then cut from each corner to the point that I've cut in, which gives me my little flag there. And you don't need it to be quite that long, although I am going to put a couple of gems on this side. So I'm just going to cut off a little bit there, get rid of those bits, and then all we need is a couple of dimensionals, and we are away. So let me just put a couple of these on. There we go. So Thankful For You. There we are. And then a few gems just to stick on here. Which ones should we use? I think these look too blue. They're supposed to be shades of green, but these to me look too blue. So we will be using, I think probably I'm going to use these sort of almost clear ones. Yeah. So I'm going to have a couple up there, probably 3. And I'm going to have one on here. There. Breaking my usual rule of having odd numbers, but the 3 plus the 1 I think looks all right. So just a really simple way to just make the DSP a little bit more fun, putting it on the card. So I hope you like that. Indiana, USA. Oh my goodness. I love the fact that we can, through technology drives me mad sometimes, but I love the fact that we can be all over the world and still see each other. I think that's beautiful. So thank you for saying where you're from, Kay. That's lovely. So all I've got here is an insert for the card, which I'm not going to make now. I can finish that later. And there I have a really simple, straightforward card. I can decorate my envelope later. I'll probably use the turtle set to do that. But it was the DSP I wanted you to see on that card. So that is to make the landscape one. If we're going to make the portrait one, then in this case we need a card base which is 21 by 14.8, or for US cardstock 8.5 by 5.5, scored for the centimeters 10.5, scored at US cardstock 4.25, and that gives us our portrait card. So I'm just going to burnish that, make sure the fold's nice and firm. There we go. So for this one, I've just got a square 6-inch piece of DSP, because all these cards can be made with 6x6 DSP as well as the bigger sheets. But I just wanted to show you how I'm going to then cut it down. So the way I think about it is the depth I want is going to be the same as for my next layer panel. So the card I showed you first for this layer panel, so it's got a gap around the outside. So my first layers for my cards, if I'm making layers for cards, is always 10 centimeters by 14.3. US cardstock would be 4 inches by 5.25. So I want it to be that same depth. So I want the depth to be 14.3. But width-wise, because I'm going to cut it into strips, I don't want it to be the full 10, because then they wouldn't fit on the card because I'm putting gaps in. So I've worked out that 8 centimeters is actually the best. So I'm going to cut that now. And this is these are going to be vertical strips again. Well, you could make them horizontal, actually. It doesn't really matter. You'd have to do a slightly different size if you're doing horizontal, because then you need to shorten the lengthways measurement. I hope that's fairly clear. So if you're putting strips with gaps vertically, you want to shorten the width measurement. If you want to cut, should we do it that way now? Let's do a horizontal one and I'll show you what I mean. So this time I probably want the full width, but I don't want the full depth. So that would be 10 by, who knows, something like 12. So let's cut it that way just to show you the difference between the two. So we'll have 10 that way, and I'm going to leave his, you see on I've got a little bird on his hat. So I'm going to leave that. So I'm going to go this way. I'm going to go at 12, something like 12. Yeah. So this time I will have the width of the card, and I'm going to do my strips coming this way. So I've done 12 centimeters. So I'm going to go 3 again. For if I was going this way, I'd have cut it shorter this way, and I'd have them probably about 2 centimeters each. But let me show you these anyway. So I'm going to go at 3 centimeters each. So I'm using my trusty trimmer and my measurements there. I can actually use the right-hand side of it. It's probably even better. So cut them all at 3 centimeters. I'm trying to keep the order so that I know where the patterns go, or I'll be able to see them, obviously. So those are my 4 cut pieces. So this time we'll be layering them coming down the card, okay, like that. So we'll pop those on. Glue, there we go. So same as before, I'm going to pop them on and leave a little border. I should have done the other one just to show you. I'll show you in a minute what the vertical strips would look like. I should do that before I stick this on, but I'm going to play around with some just to show you. So that is that one there. So if we had, just leave those to one side for a minute. If we're going to do vertical strips, this one isn't wide enough, but I'll show you what I mean. Then you want the depth to be 14.3 in this case. And then we can do, say, 2 centimeters. I don't know. Actually, that would give me 2 strips at 2.5, this particular picture. So let's do that, 2 strips at 2.5, just so I can show you basically what I mean about if you wanted to do vertical strips, cut them around 2 centimeters to 2.5 centimeters. And I would probably need 1 more strip on there because I can't get 2 on, obviously, because it'd be too wide then. So 4 strips of 2 centimeters or 3 strips of 2.5 centimeters, which is either 3/4 of an inch or 1 inch, up to you, and that will give you a pattern coming this way. So it depends how you want to do it. I don't think I've got any more of that particular bit, so I can't put the next bit on, which I wonder if I have. Who knows? No, I can't look for it now, but if you imagine another strip down there, and then I'd put another sentiment on again in a similar way for the first one, just over here, add some gems and there. And you could also always stamp if you've got a bit of spare card, you could always stamp it and play with it that way. Again, totally up to you. But this way I'm doing them horizontally, the strips horizontally for a change, having done them vertically on the landscape card. So again, I'm just putting one after the other, making sure that the gaps are similar and actually are straight. Love the wiggle room. Using Tombow for this so that I have a bit of wiggle room so I can move them if I need to, which is fine. So it's just ways to use DSP in slightly different ways. Whoops, it helps if I actually put them the right way around, which is the wrong one. I just used the wrong strip. Watch that you get your patterns right if you have got a pattern DSP that matters. And for this one, it does mean I have to get them in the right order. That one, and then finally this one, I've already put the stuff on. There we go. So now I've got my pattern split with horizontal gaps. And those gaps aren't all equal. Let me just put this one on again. There. Thank goodness the Tombow wasn't quite stuck on. And so now for this one, what I could do is actually use one of these. I think we might use the Just a Note. Why not? So I'm just going to use this Just a Note from the linked together set. Make sure it's straight. Yep. I'll use my garden green. You know what? Why am I using garden? No, I will use garden green on here actually because it will show up best. So I'm going to stamp direct there. So that hasn't got anything else on except my little, just a note, and my DSP. Can add a couple of gems. Just to dot some around there. I might not actually, I might just have a couple there. Perhaps I'll just leave that one actually. Oh, I don't know. What do you think? Shall we have more gems? I don't know. Yeah, let's have a couple more just because it always looks better when you've got more than one. There we go. So again, just really simple cards. And again, I would put a middle bit in it and put something in there, but just using little strips. You don't have to have all the strips the same. You could play around with it, perhaps have one narrow strip, then one wider strip, then a narrow strip, then a wider strip, or whatever. Always a good idea just to play around and get different strips as you want. So if I just go back to these ones I cut here, for example, what I could do is cut this one in half again. So I'm just going to eyeball it. It's going to be just under, it's going to be about 1.4. That's about right. Try and get it straight. So that gives me then a wide, then a narrow. And then obviously if I had more paper, I could show you with another wide. So that would look like, so I've got a wide one to start with, then a narrow one, and then I would have put probably another wide one there, and so on. So you can play around with the size, or I could have two narrows, then another wide. Totally up to you how you cut it. Once you've cut your one piece, you can then divide it as you want. I hope that makes some sense. But I have an even easier idea for you. Let me just put all of these to one side for a minute. And the even easier idea, don't need those. Use it for the middle bit of that one. Because I was going to do the middles as well. I can't be bothered. We'll do those later, the middles of the cards. So I've got an even easier idea for you. And this is still using the Turtley Cute paper. There we go. It's actually the scene, actually, this one is. And I've got two card fronts. And this is, if you use one layer of paper, and this is my usual layer, which is, it's the usual size of a card front, rather. So it's like half a normal card base. So you can see it fits exactly on there. So I've used a half piece. Could make it slightly small and have a border around. It's up to you. But I'm using it this way. And all I'm going to do with it is cut it across the diagonal. So this piece is 10.5 centimetres by 14.8, or 4.25 by 5.5 if you're working in inches. And all I'm going to do is somewhere in the middle, and I don't really care where, but I'm just going to guess for this. I'm just going to cut it diagonally, just like that. So I haven't measured it, I haven't done anything particular with it. I've just cut it in half. And from this, I can make two different cards. So I've got my usual size of card base, as I've told you before. Just going to get my bone folder and just crease that properly. There we go. There's one. I'd already stored these, so it's just a matter of folding them now. Here's my second. And so what I'm going to do is this one I'm going to stick on at the top there, and this one I'm going to stick on the bottom there. And when I've stuck them on, I'm then just going to add a strip of contrasting cardstock. And I've used the colours from the DSP. So the pretty in pink background matches the pretty in pink spots on here. Then there are cherry cobbler spots on here. So I've used cherry cobbler as my second colour. And if you ever want to know what patterns to use, if I can get this out under all the other rubbish that's here now. Ooh, there we go. If you turn over your pack of DSP, and this is the same with a 6x6 DSP as well, on the back, they always list the colours. So you can always find a coordinating colour cardstock or an element that you want to use in your cards. Use the back of the DSP sheets. So I'm just going to pop this on and show you what I mean. So again, just really simple ideas with DSP if you're needing to make quick cards for people. So this is the whole size of the front. So I am going to layer it up right to the edge like that. And then I've got my strip here, and I am just going to lay the strip along the join, if you like. And to do that, I'm actually going to put the glue along that join. just like that. And then stick this on top because I want to stick it out either side. That's not very well cut. I think I need a new trimmer blade yet again. So I'm just going to lay it across like that. And I made sure it was plenty long enough to cover this. And then all I need to do is just trim it off either side like that. And there I have my card front. And then I shall finish it off. Again, you can either go posh and do it on a separate piece of cardstock and cut it out, or you can be really, really simple and just put it straight onto the card, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm using my contrast colour, which is Cherry Cobbler. And we are going to, I've used the Wishing You a Happy Day from the Link Together set, stamp set. So we'll have it over this side. Wishing You a Happy Day. There we go. And I do have some of, there we go, some of these party dots, which I think again are still available at the moment, but they may, I'm not sure if they're last chance or not actually. Can't remember with those. But again, we're just going to have a few of those dotted around. Whoops, come off. I'll have one there. So just a few gems just to add to it. And again, if you wanted, you could do some background stamping on here or run it through an embossing folder. But that is just such a straightforward, so quick and easy card. You could add more stuff up here. Totally up to you what you want to do. But that, to me, is just really simple. And then I can make one the other way around, if you like. And I can either put this at the top or the bottom. I'll show you what I mean. So obviously if I was using it just as a, I could put it there, but I could turn this one around and have another one at the top. And I think I'll do this one at the bottom just for fun. Just to show you what it looks like both places. But you can see I didn't measure these at all. I just literally cut across them. And the same again with the contrast strip. Oh, didn't stick. Let's try it again. Press it for long enough. I shall press and hold it down this time. Make sure it sticks. That's better. And then trim again. Let's get rid of the bits. And there is my second one. And again, I can either stamp direct on there, or I could, should I do, what's this one? Hope you're feeling better soon. How about that? Let's have hope you're feeling better soon. And if I choose, I can grab a bit of scrap. Yes, that does fit on there, thank goodness. Because I just grabbed it out of my stash there. So I'm just going to ink that one up and pop it here. Hope you're feeling better soon. And then I can either cut, oh, I didn't clean that stamp, and I'm using Cherry Cobbler, which is really stupid because it means it'll stain. Not that it affects the stamp in any way, it doesn't make it any less good, if you like. It'll still stamp beautifully, but I do like to clean off, and you can see I've just managed to stain that stamp, which is really daft. But anyway, there we go. So I can either use, if I've got a die to cut that out, or I can just use, you know, just have it straight. It doesn't really matter. Let's pop this in, just trim it off here. There we go, trim this end as well. There. And I think for this bit, I could either stick it on just like that, or what I can do is, can't find my Stampin' Up corner. Can I find any corner rounder? Where are my corner rounders? Yeah, they should be around. Where I put it? Is it up here? Ooh. Yes, it is. I put it on top. That's why I couldn't see it. So I can just use my corner rounder here. Punch that. Shouldn't do it on top of there, should I? On all of the corners. Or on opposite corners. Actually, sometimes it looks really nice if you do it just on opposite corners. Let me show you. So can you see with that one, I've just got it on opposite corners like that. So it just gives a rather nice effect on a sentiment like that. So just, whoops. Again, I'll pop it on a couple of dimensionals. You could put some ribbon behind it. We can add more party dots or whatever. There we go. Oops, it helps if it's straight, doesn't it? Let me just use that round. Better if it's straight. There we go. So 2 ideas with a sheet of paper, sheet of DSP just cut diagonally. Obviously, you've got the original idea that I got just with using 1 sheet of pattern DSP, or play around and cut it into strips. So we've got that one and that one. I hope they're all showing here. Is there enough room on the desk? I think there is just about. So there we have a whole load of ideas for how to make some really simple cards just using some DSP. So I do hope you enjoyed those ideas. I do hope you go away and play with some DSP yourself, and try and make a few cards for yourself. Thank you very much for joining me today. The blog with the measurements will be up as soon as I can take the pictures of the cards and put those in it. And I will see you again next week. It is Blog Hop week next week, so I will be joining my usual Tech for Stampers blog hop. And the theme is sketches, so I'm going to show you how to use a card sketch and make it into a card. So thanks for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed that. Let me just put myself back so I can say goodbye properly. There we go. Yeah, thanks for joining me today, and I will see you again soon. Don't forget, it is my Craftalong at 11 o'clock, 11 a.m. UK time on Friday morning. No idea what that means for Perth or for Indiana in the USA, I'm sorry, to Glenda and to Kay. But if you can join me, then that would be great. You will need you can come and just watch what we're making, or if you want to craft along with me, which is the idea, the Zoom link and all of the details of the products you need are in last week's email. So if you aren't on my email list, please join it. And if you want to join me on Friday but didn't get last week's email, then please email me at carol@craftycarolscards.co.uk, and I will send you all the details for the craft along at 11 a.m. UK time on Friday with the Zoom link. And I hope I will see you all then. Thanks for joining me today. Bye for now.